is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Flags. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and young guns Billy Derrick and Michael Cindric. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
And everybody, welcome in on a beautiful Thursday afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. Actually, it's a Wednesday. It'd probably help if I knew which day it was. I can't believe I did that. Anyway, it's a Wednesday. It's beautiful. And thank you for being with us. And let me say this before I bring our entire crew in. Thank you to all of you who have been supporting this show in the first 3 or 4 weeks. We're able to get some pretty good numbers on how many of you are sampling the product.
We got a train coming through right now, so we're just going to stop.
Okay, I noticed that.
No problem with this.
What in the hell?
So we'll just let that go by.
Yes.
Because we don't want that.
No.
What? No, yeah, but we're recording, so I'm just going to edit this out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it blurry to you?
I don't think so. But also, Justin, can I get the music on here?
Oh, yeah. Sure.
Okay. It looks like it's gone, right, George?
It does look like it's gone.
Okay.
That's exciting. It's Wednesday.
So give me a sec.
You can go ahead. I'll make sure. I'll come up there.
Okay. All right, George, you can just I'll count you down. You'll get right back into the open.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon in Nashville, Tennessee. We have a great show for you. That much I promise. And by the way, before I bring in the two people that'll get the show started with me, let me say thank you to all of you. We have a little way of knowing that you're out there, and we keep seeing growth every day in this show. Here's the other thing I'll ask you to do. If you like our product, let a friend or two who's a sports fan know about it, because we would be greatly appreciative of that. Okay, let's start up on the plateau. Say hello to Coach Watson Brown. Is that pink?
I'm pretty in pink, George.
Are you really?
Yeah, I'm pretty in pink.
I think it takes guts.
Well, I've got guts of a burglar. I've just got no brains. That's
So would I be accurate? No golf today?
well, no. I'm not going to say why, but no, there's
Okay.
no golf today.
No golf today.
No golf today. Won't be golf tomorrow. And by Friday, I will be antsy.
What's going on? Are you joining the live? Are you joining the live tour, Watson?
I would join the live tour in a heartbeat for that kind of money, fellas.
They offered him $100 million to keep me the hell out.
And you took it.
Well, no, I should have taken it. That's exactly right.
To
So
stay out.
one of them throwing the cheap shot over to the left is Billy Derrick, Father Ryan graduate, Ave Maria University, or is it a college? Or
It's
do
a
any of
college.
you even care?
I care, George.
Do you?
I care.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm great, George. We got to get to some reads here. We got Terry McCormick getting ready to come in here. We are presented by the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners. They are proven to be trusted with your most personal asset, the Justin Tucker team. Call them at 615-906-8458. And also Sumner Funeral and Cremation. The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by those great folks. They are sharing their family with yours in your time of need, now with 2 convenient locations in Gallatin and Hendersonville, and online at sumnerfuneral.com. Sumner Funeral and Cremation, traditional, affordable, and dignified.
So at this point, I get to say hello to Terry McCormick as we do our daily Titans update. Terry, congratulations on the Yankees pitching last night. Really impressive.
It left a little to be desired, but we've got some new guys coming in. I'm looking forward to seeing Frankie Montas take the mound.
Yeah, that was a trade you knew was going to happen.
Well, they needed another starter. I was a little surprised though that they got rid of Jordan Montgomery yesterday. That move kind of baffled me because Harrison Bader is injured and he's not much of a hitter either. Pretty good defensive player, but can't help you if he's in a walking boot.
Yeah, went to the University of Florida. So, Terry, let me make sure I got this right. The Titans had today off, correct?
It is absolutely correct, George.
Okay.
No practice today.
Up till now, kind of give me some little grades on things you've been seeing.
I think the first day in pads, the defense definitely won that day. And then yesterday, I think the offense probably came back and had a much better day than the defense. I think overall, you're seeing a Titans team that has been pretty competitive. You're seeing guys step up and play pretty well through these practices. And I think the competition for a couple of these spots, especially like the pecking order at wide receiver and, some of the things that they're trying to do on the offensive line, I think they have an idea of who's going to step up and play what role. And so far, I think this Titans camp has been a pleasant surprise in terms of trying to find answers to some of those questions.
Okay, let's go wide receiver. Sort of give me what you think is 1 through 5 right now. I know I'm hitting you cold with it, but let's try it.
All right. Number one, obviously, when he's healthy, is going to be Robert Woods. And I think that he's well on his way to being healthy. He's doing almost all the drills. They're holding him out as a precaution on a couple of things. He's not wearing the knee brace, which certainly is a good positive sign in his recovery from that ACL tear. I'd say he right now is number one. Nick Westbrook-Akina, the lone holdover with any measurable experience, probably is number 2. And then the rookie Traylon Burks looks to be number 3. At number 4, I would probably go with Kyle Phillips, the other rookie, who's probably going to see a lot of reps in the slot for them this year. He would probably be my number 4 guy. And my number 5 guy is going to be Racey McMath, who makes his mark on special teams, but had 2 big catches yesterday, both on deep balls. I think they're hoping he can take the top off the defense. The other spots beyond that, I think it's Josh Malone, and it's also Des Fitzpatrick, and it's Mason Kinsey kind of holding out those other spots, trying to crack that top 5.
Okay, I'm going to be a little cynical. This wide receiver core right now, this is not exactly the 27 Yankees. How obvious is it to you that one of those top 5 today is on another team?
At the start of camp, I would have said maybe so. But I think with the way Traylon Burks has emerged throughout this process, I think he has the ability to become a true number 1 in time. Now, whether that happens this year or not, I don't know. But I think he has the ability to become a true number 1. It wouldn't surprise me if they added somebody from another roster in cuts, if they find somebody that they really like, somebody that has some potential who could come in and maybe be the 4th or the 5th guy. But I think that right now they're going with their top 3 guys is probably going to be in some order: Woods, Burks, and Westbrook-Akina.
Not a lot of 5 wide receiver packages out of this group.
Not a lot of 5 wide receiver packages, as you said, George. But injuries occur, as we know very well. Last year they went through 91 players, set a league record. So even right now, if you're the number 5 or number 6 guy, you're holding out because at some point you'll probably get your chance.
Terry, good work. I'm gathering you're at the office.
I'm at the office, but the plan is later today is to go play golf with Connor.
Really?
Absolutely.
That's so.
That's the plan.
Give the child my best.
I will.
Remind him who the world champions are.
I will remind him who the 22 champions are going to be.
Yeah, you wish. Talk to you tomorrow.
All right. See you.
Okay, so Watson, we're off and running here. A little cynicism to start things. Are you now ready for the award-winning update?
Award-winning, yes, I am.
Okay. Item number 1, Billy.
Item number 1, and we start on a somber note. The legendary former Dodgers broadcaster Vin Scully has passed away at the age of 94. I mean, it's like yesterday with Bill Russell, or 2 days ago with Bill Russell. I mean, exactly what Watson said about him kind of leaves you speechless. But Vin Scully dead at 94.
Watson, I'm going to throw this out here. I believe that Vin Scully is the single greatest American sportscaster, period.
I would have beat you to that if you'd asked me. Absolutely. George, he was fantastic when I was growing up. He was fantastic when I was in my middle age working my fanny off, and he's fantastic at the end. I mean, the guy's top of the line. And honest, I don't put anybody close.
You know, it's interesting you say that. There is one or two for just the simple baseball call, but given all the other things he did, the Masters, CBS NFL, the guy was the best.
The best. He could do anything.
Yeah.
And he could get your attention immediately, and he could keep your attention throughout. And it really showed in baseball. I mean, it could be a lull time that's not going well, and you just enjoy sitting listening to him.
Yeah.
And he'd find something with his person with him that he could get to, and all of a sudden you want to hear it. I mean, I don't there's some great ones, George, throughout our time, but nobody close to him, in my opinion.
By the way, later in the hour, a little bit of a tribute to Vin Scully. I met him one time. One of the things I think you're hearing from a lot of people is that he was gracious and willing to talk to darn near anybody. And that's one of the things that made him such a special human being. We'll have more on Vin Scully later in the show. Item number two.
Item number two, George, Kentucky and Gonzaga have agreed to a home and home in college basketball. That'll start this year, 2022. That'll set up likely two top 5 preseason teams in a clash of heavyweights. So Kentucky and Gonzaga, they haven't met a whole lot, but they will be. They have started a home and home college basketball.
Watson, have you heard the backstory about how this happened?
Have not.
So apparently Calipari and some of his players were involved Tuesday night in a telethon to raise money for a lot of the flood victims up in Kentucky. We haven't had nearly the rain that some of those folks to the north have had. Apparently, Mark Few called into the telethon. They put him on the air. I have not seen this, so I'm kind of going a little bit dark here. But apparently, in the middle of all of this, Calipari just looks at him and says, "Want to play?" And Mark Few said, "Yeah, let's do it." And that's how it happened.
It's crazy.
And I'd love to see him take that game and give all the money from that game to these flood victims. That's what I'd love to see him come out and do.
First game's up in the state of Washington. Second one is in Lexington. Item number three.
We've got NBA news. George, Kevin Durant is set to meet with the Brooklyn Nets owner Joe Tsai this week. His future in Brooklyn is still up in the air. He requested a trade away from the Nets back on June 30th, despite still having 4 years remaining on his contract, with little movement since on a potential deal for Durant. So who knows what's going to happen there?
So, Watson, I'm going to get a little cynical here because I believe that the owner, the Brooklyn guy, has the right to say to Durant, "Listen, you were the one that wanted it this way. You helped create this dysfunctional mess that now all of a sudden you want out of. You were the one that pushed us on Kyrie Irving, even though we all knew his reputation." If I'm the owner, I'm kind of looking at Durant going, you can't have it both ways.
Oh, I absolutely would. I don't think I'd do it within the
Quite the way
media,
I did.
but I'd get behind closed doors and absolutely tell him that, because it's true. He kind of ran the show, and then all of a sudden the show's not very good, and he's ready to ditch it. That ain't bad if you can pull that off. I never could do that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you get in a bad show, you're in a bad show, man,
This job's a little tougher than we thought. We're out of here.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. Now, it may work that way in the NBA.
Yeah,
It does not work It does not work that way in real life. Billy, number 4.
Number 4, more from the NBA. Magic Johnson, he has come out and said that the NBA should retire jersey number 6. Of course, I asked you before we came on, George. I said why, and George looked at me like I was.
These young bucks.
They have no clue.
My grandson sitting here talking. I mean, they don't have no clue.
When did Bill Russell play?
He played before you were born.
You expect me to know his number?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. That's part of history.
Okay, I'll take the blame.
As much as you've seen in the last 2 days, you ought to have known his number.
Yeah, I'll take the blame.
Retain the information. Okay, final story.
Retention. BGA guys can retain. Didn't you know
as opposed to detention, which I ended up
well, that was George.
On several Saturdays during the school year. What's number 5?
That's all we got on Magic, George. That's it.
I mean, look.
Should it happen?
2 words. No brainer.
No brainer. Okay.
No brainer.
All right, last one here, George. The Miami Dolphins have impermissible contact with an agent. In January of 2022, the Dolphins reportedly had impermissible communications with Don Yee, the agent for Saints head coach Sean Payton, about having Mr. Payton serve as Miami's head coach.
So, Watson, again, little cynicism here. The agent knows damn good and well exactly when the permissible times are and when they aren't. It seems to me he ought to be held a little bit accountable for this too, to say, look, are you going to play by the rules?
See, that I've always said that about agents. They don't go by anything. And then I love it. I love these coaches that say, well, I haven't personally spoken to anybody.
Right.
Well, of course you hadn't, because the agent's doing all the talking. Right. I mean, don't get me started on that. I've never had an agent, so I don't know. I guess that was after my time when they really got hot. But I've gone against some agents now through negotiations, especially as an AD. And don't get me started. You hit on something I think is how they get away with stuff is beyond me.
Good.
Let's hear more.
One day when we got a slow day, this is going to come up.
You're going to mark that one, aren't you?
Oh, bookmark.
Put it in the back. Put it in the closet somewhere.
Absolutely. So let me tell you a little bit of what we have coming. In just a few minutes after the break, Chris Lee from Southeastern 14 will join us. We'll talk a little Vanderbilt football with him, then some remembrances of the late, great Vin Scully. And then it's going to happen. Herm Edwards at the top of the hour, right at 5 o'clock. That, I promise you, is an interview you're going to want to hear. Stick around. We're going to have some fun this afternoon. This is Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you. When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
I've done sports, I've been a photographer, I've been an editor, I've been a producer, I've been a reporter, I've been an anchor. I mean, I've done every job you could possibly imagine this. And so sports was a way to have fun and be different. But then I realized community is where it's at, and community and local and doing places and going, seeing people. And, sports, you go to a stadium, everybody celebrates and they go their different ways. But community-wise, there's so much going on.
We are back. Chris Lee is going to be thrilled to know that in sort of the banner of the show that you saw a minute ago, he has equal top billing with Herm Edwards, who will join us today at 5 o'clock. Chris, how in the world are you?
Good. One of us is a little more famous than the other, I think, there. But thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. But, whether he is or not, you've had more airtime on this show than he has, and we'll let him know that.
This is true.
So you've been covering Vanderbilt practices as they get their fall camp underway. They play a week earlier than most of the teams because they open in Hawaii in a trip that all of us would like to make. Chris, what have you seen so far as opposed to what we saw a year ago where talent-wise, it just simply wasn't there?
Well, the talent's still got a ways to go, but it's gotten better. They've got a few more athletes. They've got a little more size on the defensive line. And I think they've got an identity. This time a year ago, their offense was a complete mess. The public didn't know it at the time, but they changed offensive coordinators through 1 week of fall camp. This year, they got Joey Lynch running the show from the beginning. It's a lot more cohesive. The offense is having a lot more success. So I think that's the thing that stands out from a year ago is just they've improved the talent level a little bit. And I think there's just a lot more cohesiveness than there was this time a year ago.
Chris, I thought they got scrappier as the year went along. But one of the things that I saw, and it was very obvious to anybody, while Mike Wright has some real athletic ability, he couldn't throw a lick. And if you got to third and long, it was hopeless. What's better this time around, or is it better this time around?
Yeah, I think that's been one of the surprises of camp. In the spring, he was still having issues throwing the ball. And not that he's been perfect, but the passes that in the past were a step behind the receiver or maybe, at his knees now or right on target and hitting guys in the numbers. I think in terms of just as a total passer, he's made a big improvement. There's still some errors in judgment. I just watched one happen as we're doing this. I think I jinxed the kid. But, he's better than he was a year ago. And I think that's something you wanted to see in the area of the passing game because they're going to have it. Everybody knows he can run and run effectively. But the throwing had to improve, and so far I've seen that happen.
Chris, a year ago, it was all about Ken Seals, and, it looked like he was in the position Wright is in right now, virtually the guaranteed starter. it didn't work out that way. Number one, in your opinion, what did happen? And secondly, where does he stand in all this?
Well, I think a year ago, their offense was a complete train wreck in fall. They were letting the defense blitz him just left and right. Their offensive line couldn't protect anybody. And I think it made for a dysfunctional offense out of the gate. I think additionally, as the season happened, I think he had 3 different injuries that really impacted him in different ways. Of course, one kept him out for a while. That didn't help. And so it's just one of those seasons where it started poorly through no fault of his own, and it ended poorly for him, largely through no fault of his own. I'm sure he could have played better and made better decisions at times, but it just was a rough start for him last season. I think he's been pretty competitive in camp. He's made some good throws today as I've watched. And I think that, everybody expects Mike Wright to be the starter. But my question is, once they get in the season, Mike's not the biggest kid, and he's probably going to take a pounding at times. They're going to need 2 quarterbacks. And I think Ken Seals has been healthier and certainly shown that he can help them if he's called upon.
Chris, through no fault of Clark Lee, what he inherited, in my opinion, was an OVC talent level. It was really bad. It was the worst I've seen in the SEC in a long time. So he has a recruiting class that, to that staff's credit, got into the top 35 in the country, according to a lot of people. So is their plan to play a bunch of those kids or to try and redshirt them and just hope for the best?
Well, I would go a step further with what you said. I think what they inherited was a mid-level OVC team in terms of talent, and they had issues with chemistry, with work ethic, with just getting over the past on top of that. So it was bad talent with baggage. I think he's improved the roster through recruiting. There's several of these kids that I'm seeing as freshmen that look like they can play. They've got a German kid his last name is pronounced Watara, who is going to be a major force for them. He's about 300 pounds, and it's a muscular 300 pounds. He can move. He really looks like a find for them. Jadaeus Richard, I think, is going to play some in the secondary for them. He'll help. They've got a running back in Maurice Edwards, who, once he gets bigger, can help them, I think. A couple other guys, Trudell Berry will probably play for them a little bit in the secondary. I think this is a class where you can see that the kids that are coming in, and I would count the last class in that too. Some of the Derek Mason's last class, which Clark Lee helped close, was better than what they've had. So you can see the talent starting to take a jump. But, newsflash, the league has talent across the board, and so they're competing with that. But I think you're looking at a program that's on a trajectory to improve, although you may not see that in the wins column, maybe till the end of next year or 2024. But they're definitely, in my mind, getting better in terms of just closing the gap competitively.
Watson, I got to level with you. I think Chris's picture looks pretty good. Maybe we just put it over me.
I think that's a great idea, to be very honest. So, yeah, you don't want to go side by side with Chris. That would not be a good thing.
Do you have questions for him? See, I tried to get you off that train.
I don't get off the train, babe. Chris, where do you see them, kind of in a general way, where do you see them better? Where do you see them not better at this point, and thinking against an SEC opponent, not a non-conference opponent?
I think quarterback play has improved. I think they've got a talented room too. That's the other storyline. They've got a couple of freshmen they brought in that have done some good things at times. AJ Swan was really maybe the best of the quarterbacks in the spring game, and they've got a big kid named Walter Taylor who's got kind of an intriguing tool set too. But I think that the play at quarterback between the two guys that are going to play, that's Seals and Wright, has probably gotten a little better. Again, Seals has been helped with some health. I think the receivers are making a few more plays in camp. The DBs have disappointed me a little bit, but I think there's some time to go between now and camp. And they've got a really good punter. I mean, a really, really good punter, which they'll probably be doing that a lot. but I think he's got a chance to really sort of flip the field for them at times. It's a group, and I think the offensive line is better too. I want to see that a little bit more when they're healthy on the defensive line, which they're not right now. But it seems like they've made some little steps at several position groups so far.
Do you see a go-to guy at wide receiver, Chris, or even one that's potential a year from now or something, or we still got to go get that guy?
I think Will Shepard's the closest they've got to that. He led them in receiving a year ago. Sometimes in fall camp, it's to give other guys a spotlight, which, Shepard hasn't gotten maybe as many targets as he might during the season for that reason. But to me, he's the go-to guy. And if you want to go a step further, I think they maybe got to go to a running back in Ray Davis, who's healthier. That's another big thing in camp, is just seeing him healthy, which he was not last year. He wasn't healthy going into the season. He got hurt 3 games in. He had a really nice career at Temple. So that's a place where they can get some help too. The running back room is reasonably deep. And I forgot to left off the linebackers earlier. That's a group that was probably their best a year ago. They've got a couple of kids in Anthony Orji, Ethan Barr, who are players at this level, and some backups like Kane Patterson who can play. Again, that's an extension to your previous question. But, yeah, I think that Shepard, in terms of their go-to guy, I think he's the closest they've got. Now, I don't think he's one that, is going to match up with Alabama and Georgia and Tennessee have, but he's the best they have, and I think he's primed for a nice year.
Last thing I got, George, do you see, Chris, maybe a touchdown better in the SEC than they were a year ago? Maybe 2 touchdowns better? What are you seeing talent-wise as they jump into the SEC this year?
Yeah, I think 7 to 10 points is reasonable, maybe. Given they lost an average game in the league last year by 27, you would hope they are better. I think they'll close the gap a little bit. Now, the problem is they've got Alabama on the schedule this year, and Georgia, of course, which is not going to make things easier. But yeah, I think that they'll close the gap a little bit because I just think they're a little bit better of a team.
Chris, let me close it this way. Obviously, it got a lot of attention at SEC Media Days when Clark Lee threw out we're going to win a national title at Vandy. What's been the reaction to it? You're around there a lot. What is the reaction?
Oh, I don't think here it's a big deal. No, every time I'm doing radio, I get asked about it. It grabbed headlines, and they need to get to the point where they're not grabbing them for the wrong reason. But yeah, I mean, that gets talked about a lot. It's an easy, I guess, way to poke some fun at them. But at the same time, it does show you that maybe the goals were elevated, which is something they need as a program. Just having objective standards to compete and succeed. And, are they going to be the top program in the country? I'm going to guess that's not going to happen. But, just aiming your standards there and aiming to be competitive with some of the other programs in the league. It's nice to see a coach who's got his aim there. And again, even if they miss, if they get anywhere halfway to it, they're a lot better off than they have been most years before.
Chris, appreciate the visit as always. You've always been really good with your time in helping me, and I appreciate your coming on with us.
Happy to do it. Thanks for having me.
Chris Lee, Southeastern 14, joining us on the show. So, Watson, let me throw it at you. Why do you think Clark did it? And if you were advising him, would you have said, say it or not say it?
Oh, I'll stay away from the advising on that. He's got to say what's in his heart. I think what he was trying to do is just throw positives out there and just say, why can't we have the same goals everybody else does? If that's the first goal, and winning the conference championship, second goal, getting in a bowl might be the third goal. I don't see anything wrong with it. It wasn't going to go very far, George, because of the Vanderbilt history and how long it's been down now. So it went in one ear and out the other. He caught some grief from it, but he probably got his players' attention, saying, hey, guys, I'm not afraid to say this. Are you all afraid to try to accomplish these kind of goals? I think he did it more within his own team and just to put something positive out there, whether it's doable or not, at least you're saying something positive. I've been there, and when you get up in front of those guys and you know you're not close yet and you're still trying to build a thing and you say, well, we're better than we were a year ago. You just want to be able to stand up, hold your shoulders and back and say, we're going to get there. Just give us a little time. That's probably what he was doing. I don't think I ever went that far, but I did say some pretty positive, strong things at times when I was there at those podiums.
Okay, I got one for you.
Okay.
This may surprise you. They are a 6.5-point favorite in their opener at Hawaii, and then they have Elon in game 2 on Labor Day Saturday night. Watson, let's say they do open 2-0. It's hard to know what it means, but what does it do for confidence?
Oh, every time you win a game, I mean, it's all about winning and losing. I can't remember. It was a bunch of 7 point or less losses in my time when I was there. And that's all great, but it means nothing. I mean, you still lost, and then you get up and you go the next week. Winning the game is hard. And so, yes, anytime, if they get out the gate, that's what I've been preaching since I left. Get 4-0. Have your non-conference games the first 4 and be 4-0 going into the season. And my gosh, you're healthy, you're confident, you've played a lot of players. You're going to be the best you can be with 8 conference games hitting you in the face, one after the other after the other. And my gracious, George, you need confidence when you're going 8 of those in a row. And because it's hard. It is really hard. There's nothing like the 8 games in the SEC. There ain't no conference that can match it. The Big Ten might say they can. I don't think so. Top to bottom, the SEC is a dog. And so, yeah, a 2-0 would be a big boost for that program.
We'll check in on what's going on up on the Hill in Knoxville early next week, so get ready for that. After the break, some remembrances of the late, great Vin Scully. He passed away last night at the age of 94. What an incredible man, an incredible career, and this is Main Street Media Television.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin. It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties. Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com.
I think journalism is like politics. It's all local, and I think Main Street Media has really hit on something that I've been preaching for 50 years. And keep the news local, right? Local stories for local readers, and that's what I like about Main Street Media. I finally found somebody who agrees with me philosophically about concentrate on local subjects, local topics, and you'll bring your readers in.
Back we are, and we welcome all of you in on a Wednesday afternoon that is beautiful. It's hot, just as you would expect in early August. We got some news last night that was tough because you talk about a sportscasting icon. Vin Scully, maybe the best of all time when it comes to sportscasters in our country, passed away last night at the age of 94. There is a story, if you're a fan of his or just want to learn a little bit more, Tom Verducci at SI.com had an amazing story today on Scully. He apparently, Watson talked to him a couple of weeks ago. He had heard through, baseball people that Vin was not doing particularly well, called him. Vin really perked up, took his phone call. They talked memories of his career, and yet Verducci was continuing to hear that he wasn't doing well. And last night, what everybody suspected might go down did. What an incredible human being to go with maybe the best broadcaster in our country's history.
No, and I think what made him number one, George, was the combination of both things you just said. He loved people. He always wanted to make people happy. He'd do things for people. The different things he'd get involved in, you could tell he was really into it, and it meant a lot to him. I think that genuineness is the piece that a lot don't have, and a lot do, but maybe not took it as far as he did. He made you feel like, to me, whether I'd listen to him on the radio or television, he was sitting in your house. I mean, he was right there sitting beside you, just talking about it. Wasn't that a great play that guy just made? I mean, that's the way he was. And I've heard a lot of voices that were deeper and better, but there was a specialness to him, and it was the genuineness more than it was a voice, I think.
Watson, as you know, one of my all-time favorites is the legendary Cincinnati Reds play-by-play voice, Marty Brennaman. And I got to know Marty back in the late 80s. Anyway, Marty announced his retirement, I want to say about 4 years ago. And I sent Marty a text that day saying, hey, congratulations on a great career. You're about to learn the level of love that people have for you. Well, lo and behold, Marty sent me a text back saying, hey, Amanda and I are driving through Nashville today. Have you ever heard of a place called Loveless Cafe? If you have, meet us there. Well, you think I was going to turn that down? Heck no. One of the things he told me that day was that Vin Scully pulled him aside. Remember, Marty Brennaman's first years with the Reds were all Big Red Machine. So it was pretty good times. I mean, that was, in my way of thinking, the best assembled baseball team in my lifetime. Vin Scully pulled him aside at one point and said, listen, you need to understand something. It isn't always going to be this good. You know, if you're in this business as long as I think you're going to be, there will be lean times, and you got to be prepared for how to deal with that too. I thought it was great advice.
Oh, absolutely. And that's when he was at his best. There weren't lean times with him. He could get you through it. You were never sitting there down in the dumps when you were listening to him. And of course, I'm prejudiced. I grew up a Dodger fan, and you well know it was the Yankees and the Dodgers and the Cubs and the Cardinals. It was all ever on TV. That's it. And so you'd see them a lot on television in this, I think they called it the game of the week or whatever back in those days.
NBC game of the week.
I'm telling you how old I am, I know. But so I've listened to him a long time, as I've compared to listening to the Cardinals, because that was my dad's deal. He'd have that radio on listening to the Cardinals every night. And so it's neat that we came up through some of these great announcers, George, that I don't see them yet. Maybe there's going to be some young ones end up being that, but I don't see it. And we're going to have an advantage with our age and our age group that these young people don't understand, because I don't see the youth being able to touch you like those guys did. And I think there's a reason for that. There's so much on television now. In those days, it was radio. They were radio long before they were TV.
Yep.
And as you know, because you've done it, you have to explain things a lot better when it's radio than when you're sitting there watching it on TV. And I think they learned that so well that they became fantastic at what they did.
They basically, you become their eyes and their ears in radio. Watson, hang with me here, because we're going to hear some of the iconic calls of a Vin Scully career that started in 1950 with the Dodgers and ended with his retirement in 2017. The Kirk Gibson call, for me, it's right in my baseball wheelhouse. I think it's one of the absolutely great calls in baseball history. Watson, here's one of the little known things about him. In the last, I want to say 20 years of his baseball career, he didn't use a color announcer. I don't know enough on the inside of Dodger television to know if that was his call. That's how he wanted it. I'm assuming it is. But you think about listening to him and all that storytelling he did, because listen, I had the MLB extra innings package. I heard a lot of it. The guy may be the best storyteller I've ever heard.
Yeah. I put him up there. And the stories were genuine stories. He was part of them. He'd listen to them, whatever. I mean, and again, name me one, George, that could tell a story better than Vin Scully. Name me one, in your opinion. I can't name one.
Well,
that the answer, tell a story better than he could.
The answer is nobody. I mean, this is a guy that called Don Larson's perfect game in the World Series. He, not by fluke, but because the Braves were playing the Dodgers, he ended up on the call of Hank Aaron's 715th homer. He was on the call of Kirk Gibson's home run in Game 1 of the World Series against the Oakland A's in '88. He was on Clayton Kershaw and all of his brilliance. The guy didn't miss many big moments, but I'll tell you this, he's going to be missed.
Yeah. And we'll never see these 50 since 1950. How many years with one organization? You're not going to see that.
No.
Those days are gone. Yeah.
Marty, let me think this through. Marty was a little over 40.
Yeah, he was.
You had Jack Buck.
How many was Jack?
Jack, before he passed away, I want to say was close to 45 or 50. Ernie Harwell with the Tigers, long time stuff. We'll try to come to the answer of that after the break. Watson?
He touched again.
Yeah, that's the good news is we'll try to get the answers. The bad news is stat of the day is next. Yeah. So stick around. Watch us get humiliated. This is Main Street Media Television.
Since 1865, the First Baptist Church of Gallatin on Winchester Street has served its community by catering to the least, the last, and the lost, providing a church of welcome used by God to save the lost, transform the saved, and impact its community. As a proud multi-ethnic congregation, Pastor Derek Jackson personally welcomes you to join them in fellowship Sunday mornings at 8 in person or at 1045 in person or online at firstbaptistgallatin.org. First Baptist Gallatin on Winchester Street, serving with open arms as a true church of welcome.
Tell me a little bit about your company.
So One Stop Realty has been around since 1974. We are your hometown brokerage. It is family owned by me. We have 30 agents that are waiting to help you with all your real estate needs. That counts as residential, commercial, and property management. We also will be getting into the auction business at the end of this month as well. We have listings that range from every price range that you can think of on the real estate market. I know Shelley Tucker has a new listing coming up in Gallatin. Heather Patton has one in Madison right around the corner here. I have one coming up myself. We have everything you need as far as real estate, and we have the expertise to help you out.
Beautiful. Give them a phone number.
Phone numbers for the office is 615-822-0750. You can find us on the web at www.onestoprealty.tn.com.
Thanks for getting involved with us.
George,
really
thank you for
appreciate
having
this. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I think so.
Serving Williamson and surrounding counties, Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee offers comprehensive orthopedic care with 16 subspecialized physicians. Our practice provides high-tech care with a hometown touch. We offer physician clinics, physical and occupational therapy, advanced imaging, and surgical services, including interventional procedures. Call us at 615-791-2630. We're Bone and Joint Institute of Tennessee. High-tech care with a hometown touch.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
I've done sports. I've been a photographer. I've been an editor. I've been a producer. I've been a reporter. I've been an anchor. I mean, I've done every job you could possibly imagine this. And so sports was a way to have fun and be different. But then I realized community is where it's at, and community and local and doing places and going, seeing people. And, sports, you go to a stadium, everybody celebrates and they go their different ways. But community-wise, there's so much going on.
Boy, one of the things you are learning today, if you've watched ESPN at all, man, it has been wall-to-wall Vin Scully. Some incredible stuff congrats to them. I don't know where they found all of this, but they found it quick. And it's really been some amazing television. This may not be. This is stat of the day. Watson, you and I have not exactly killed it, but I also got to be honest. The question yesterday, punt it.
Punt it. That was a hard one.
Yeah.
You did good. You got half of it.
Tried.
Well, you did. You got half of it right. Even though you threw out the little guy with the white socks.
Eddie Goodell.
Yeah.
That came out of left field.
Well,
it was true.
There's a book. It's one of the great sports books of marketing and promotions called VEC, as in rec. You need to go read that thing. Bill Veeck was one of the most amazing promoters of baseball. Yeah. And when he owned, at the time, the Cleveland Browns, wasn't it? Before it was the Indians?
I'm not sure if it was maybe it was the Browns.
Anyway, whatever.
Did he get it after Paul Brown? Wasn't he after Paul?
Yeah.
I think that's right. You may be right. I think you're right.
Bottom line is that book, VEC as in rec, goes through a ton of stuff.
Just get Billy to go back and look at the uniforms he pulled out. I mean, he's the one that pulled out shorts. He had the players in shorts, if you remember.
The White Sox
players?
Yes, the White Sox of the late 70s. They were absolutely hideous. Nobody's ever tried it again.
Long socks and shorts. Something my granddad used to wear.
Right. It didn't go well.
All right.
So
let's see if this goes well.
Yeah, whatever.
Stat of the day presented by John English Antique Sports and Cards. They are specializing in antique and historical sports equipment, games, advertising, and other sport-related items. You can visit John English Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee, open Tuesdays through Fridays from noon to 5 o'clock and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5. Visit John English gradedcards.com.
Yeah, he's called me an antique in his commercial, and he seemed to really enjoy doing it.
We're proud to serve Nashville's greatest antique.
I'm going to get after him. Okay, what do we got here?
All right. Let's talk some college baseball. We've talked a lot of pro baseball. We're going to get into some college baseball now. Of course, we talked a little bit about Ole Miss, winning their national title. What was that, over a month ago? But which college baseball team has made it to the College World Series more often than they haven't?
Or more often than not.
More than 50% of the time?
Yes, more often than 50% of the time.
Watson, I was thinking that. Wouldn't it have been easier just to put that there, more than 50%?
Hey,
send this back.
Send this back.
He kind of took an old Cookville boy and a BGA boy and put us on the spot there. We had to think.
Right. That's never good.
That's not a good thing.
Okay. So let's you and I think about this for a minute.
Well, we know the Arizona State, Texas.
It's one of two, it seems to me. It's Southern Cal or Arizona State.
I would keep Texas around in that now.
Okay.
Texas was there a bunch.
Who do you
I'd
want
say
to pick?
Arizona State.
It's one of the three. I think we're all over this one. You pick it.
George is confident. That's not a good sign.
It's one of the three.
Is it one of the three, Billy?
I think it is.
Okay, so
Billy, is it one of the three?
Give me your teams again. What did you say?
Pennsylvania, Hofstra. Come on, you got to retain the info here.
No, I'm a producer, so
yeah. USC, Arizona State, or Texas. It's one of the three.
It is one of the three, and it is the Texas Longhorns.
There you
Hot
go.
diggity dog.
Boom.
Wow.
That's first.
I'll pat myself on the back on that one, George. I'm the one that brought Texas up to you.
Yeah, you did. You did.
38 appearances, 37 misses.
Keep patting yourself on the back. On that note, would you
like to bring that up at the end of the day when you're picking again? So just pat on the back stuff. Yeah.
So you want to get to hour number 2?
Oh, I will get there.
Watson, after a slight delay, we are actually going to air the Herm Edwards interview. Herm Edwards, of course, is the football coach at Arizona State. By the way, he swore to me he would never get back into coaching when he was at ESPN. The deal was at a previous radio station, I realized you could pick one of 4 or 5, but whatever. At a previous radio station, we had Herm on once a week for about 30 minutes. He and I became good friends. It is impossible not to like him and not to love his infectious enthusiasm. The guy is a great interview, as you're about to find out in this piece. Herm, first of all, it's great to reunite with you. You got to tell me, what are all those footballs in the background?
Oh, that's the history. That's probably my history. You know, when you start playing football, obviously there's always certain occasions when you won some games or won some championships. And I've been very fortunate to be on a lot of really good football teams with some great coaches and some great players. And so through your history from college to professional and now back into college, you acquire some footballs, and you know, you really don't know how many you have until one day you decide, well, let me kind of figure out how many balls I have. And it's interesting because I have my first NFL interception, and you don't realize that when you walk off the field. You know, you take the ball and you're kind of walking with it. That was in 1977, by the way. And the quarterback was Joe Namath. It all comes full circle, right? He was with the Rams, and that's one of my pride possessions in the fact that when I became the Jet head coach, Joe came over to the press conference and we started talking. And he says, I know I gave you your first one. I said, yeah, I appreciate it.
That's beautiful. Is the ball from the Meadowlands on the symbol that you scoop up, is that back there?
Yeah, it's back there. There's a bunch of footballs back there for different things that I was involved in with the team. That's what makes it so great. You know, all these footballs, regardless of, they might have your name on it, but they have the team that you played for. And, you know, teams win. And when you have success, it always goes back to the team.
When you made the move to get back into coaching, I guess I was surprised because at one point you told me you didn't think you'd ever do this again. Has this been fun?
It's been a lot of fun, and it was a unique situation. The AD, Ray Anderson, was actually my agent. He was an agent, had a bunch of us, had Tony Dungy, really represented a bunch of clients, Denny Green, and now Denny's left us, obviously. Brian Billick, who's now on our staff as a consultant. Marvin Lewis is on our staff as a consultant. So we were visiting one day, and I was in Arizona working with ESPN for Super Bowl or something. And Ray popped the question. He said, "Did you ever think about coming back to college coaching?" And I kind of looked at him. I said, "Well, you know, I don't know." He said, "Just think about that." So a year went by, and all of a sudden he gives me the call and said, "Hey, look, I'd like you to come here and obviously, build a program, a kind of a pro model, what we're looking for." And I've known Ray a long time, so I jumped back in. I've had a lot of fun. I really have.
Okay, I'm going to hit you with one here. You and I used to talk about this. In the final years that you were at ESPN, yes, you were a go-to for issues, whether it was Donald Sterling saying stupid stuff or whatever the issue was that needed a voice of reason. It was always going to Herm Edwards. And I found myself as a viewer watching to see where you would go. Do you miss that?
I do, because I think you have to have a voice of reason. I mean, we live in a world now where we're quick to jump to sides and to conclusions and opinions. And I think sometimes the way I've looked at things, I've always looked at it in this sense. First of all, through the player, through the coach, and then the man that I am, the things I've learned from my dad, and try to put some kind of thought into it before you get emotionally and say, well, I'm going to jump over here. I try to really balance it out so you have a better idea, because I learned this, you know, it's kind of funny. When I took the job, you know, when you're a little bit older than your players, the first thing they say, they dub you with you're old school, right? And I told him, I said, no, I'm the right school. And right's always been right. It never changes, regardless of what age you are, what generation you grew up in. Right is right. And for the most part of my life, I've tried to do things right. I try to consider other people and, make sure that, I take a stand either way, but I'm always going to try to give people information so they can make a good decision.
If you were on ESPN right now, and this may be about to get close to home with Arizona State, my own opinion is that all this conference realignment, that there's nothing good about it. I don't see it. Help me with that. What would you be saying if you were on there right now?
Well, I think that, I look at it this way. This was coming. And I think we were naive if we didn't think it was going to come, especially when the NIL came into play, and you see how that is kind of affecting sports in general, right? And you can look at it two ways. We can bury our head in the sand and say, look, I'm from this era, and I don't believe in this. Well, you may not believe in it, but guess what? It's coming. It's like pro foot. It's like pro football. I mean, you can't hit the quarterback anymore. And so players get mad and fans get mad. I say, hey, man, that's part of the deal. You better not hit him hard because you're going to get a flag, right? And I just think where we're at right now, we always want to go back to where we started. But things move on. The athletes are better. They're bigger. They're faster. The game has changed in all sports. Basketball, women's sport, it's all changing. And it's changing at a pace so fast that sometimes for you and for me, we get caught on, wait a minute, that doesn't look right. Well, guess what? We got to adjust because if we don't adjust, the train's going to leave us.
Arizona State football coach Herm Edwards is on the line with us. I knew this was going to be good. So as a pro coach, you were in an era that I would call the 20-17 era. A lot of games in pro football had 20-17 scores. Well, now you're in a world where 20-17 may not even have you at halftime. So have you had to change strategies of what you used to do as opposed to what you do now?
No doubt. You have to score the ball. The game is set up for you to score. We play on the field now due to the quarterback's ability to run, and offenses spread you out now. Now, with that being said, there's still some factors that come into play here. Smart teams win, physical teams win, and you have to be able to stop the run and still run the football. That's still a factor. Now people will say that's not the truth, but you look at the teams that end up in the playoffs, whether in college playoffs or in the NFL, and it always goes back to that. And I think, when we look at it, you have to be more daring now as a coach. Once you get on the -40, fourth down is in play. They play 4 downs now. It's not like, no. We're going now. That's hard to get used to for a guy like me. You sit there going, I'm giving them field position. If we don't make it here, 4th and 5 is like a regular down now, right? In certain parts of the field. And I'm not talking about you're behind. I'm talking about first quarter, even game. And according to who you're playing, and you get all these statistics and all this data, it's still a feel for it, but I think you have to realize, look, you got to be able to adjust to how football's being played now. And it's funny because college football now has creeped into the NFL, right? You see it.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, and why? A couple reasons. Fans want to see scoring. I've always said that. They want to see scoring. They want you to play defense when you're winning in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left, and then they're hollering, defense, stop them. But the first 3.5 quarters, they're sitting there talking about score the ball, man.
Okay. From personal experience, I have watched you, for instance, at Jimmy Kelly's, good plug for my next door neighbor's steakhouse.
My man.
You walked in and you had, before the night was over, 10 people listening to all your football stories and clinging on every word. As a college football coach, are you as good a recruiter as you were that night at Jimmy Kelly's?
I'm pretty good. And it's ironic because a lot of the families kind of remember me in my coaching career. Now, some of them go back to where, believe this or not, guys that I played with or coached at one time, especially the guys I coached, they have sons. And like, they send their sons to me. Is you're going to play for coach. So it's kind of a humbling feeling in the fact that I think they trust me to do this. And this is the thing I really enjoy the most, is that we're going to grow them up and they're going to graduate. We had 11 guys this season off this team that just left us. 5 of them were drafted, 6 of them signed as free agents. All of them were college graduates. We're going to graduate our kids. And I promise the parents this, look, he'll leave here a better man. We won't allow him to waste his talent, and he's going to graduate. Now, as far as pro football, they'll be coached. If they have the ability, they'll get an opportunity. But the other things, whether they be a pro football player, that's on them. But those other 3 things I mentioned, they're going to get that done.
Watson Brown and I had this conversation recently that if we could pick certain people, voices of reason, to get in a room and make NIL better, and I don't know if perfect is the word, but better than it is now. You were one of those people I was thinking about. He brought up his brother, Mac Brown.
Mm-hmm.
He brought up Frank Beamer. I brought you up. So if you were in that room for a weekend and you all could really make things right, what would you bring to the table? What suggestions would you have?
I would say this, and this is the difficult part about it. We're trying to make it a level playing field, but that's going to be difficult because when money gets involved, how much can you bear, right? And how much can you generate as a conference, as a university, and everyone's in a different place. And I think that, the window, I think of the portal, let's just say, because portal becomes free agency all of a sudden in college.
Sure.
And I think it has to be a shorter window, because now what happens is if you wait until almost the end of spring football, you may lose 5 or 6 guys. You can't get them back. You can't replace those guys. And now when you recruit a kid, you got to recruit him every year. That's the hard thing, because, you think you recruit a kid, well, he's going to stay for 2 or 3 years. No, you got to recruit him for next year too, because let's just say you get a kid that is a undersized player and he comes in, he was a two-star guy, but all of a sudden he plays and becomes a very good player. A lot of these high profile schools are looking at those guys like free agency and going to try to entice them to maybe leave it. And maybe the kid wants to leave it and go to a bigger program. I mean, so all those things, the unintended consequences of this, I don't think that everyone understood them. And I think as this plays out this season, they need to regroup and figure out, what do we do to try to level the playing field? Now, it's never going to be level, but it's going to be very difficult going forward unless they have some kind of guidelines of what you have to do.
Herm, you all were good enough a year ago to take down USC, take down UCLA, take down Stanford. How close were you all to being not just pretty good, but almost great?
4 halves. We played bad. We played 4 games, and when we lost half of the game due to turnovers and fouls. And that was our season for the most part. I mean, we played a really good team in Utah. We were up 21-7 up there. And then the second half, they came back and we had no answer. We turned the ball over. Now, they were the better team the second half. But, we lost games, half a game. And I always tell the players, I said, look, we didn't play a bad 4 games. We played a bad 4 halves in those games. And I said, if you figure this thing out, I said, if we just stop it, at the halftime, we're probably going to win this game. But that was not the case. And that's what's great about football, that those are the points that going into this season, and the players know, look, you don't beat yourself by turning the ball over and committing fouls, right? That's bad football. And we played 4 bad halves that cost us maybe winning at least 10 games for sure.
You are one of the most fun people I have ever worked with in the radio business. So know this, if you ever get out again, I'm ready to hire you.
Okay.
Fair deal?
It's a deal. And look, you're one of my favorites. We didn't know each other when we met. And obviously, we kind of have a kinship now. And anytime you call, I say, I got to go on my man's show. Who would ever thunk, right? I mean, but that's what's great about what we get to do. Whether you're coaching, whether you work for the worldwide leader, whether you're on radio, television, in the fact that you meet so many great people, and there's certain people you just come attached to. And we didn't know each other. And all of a sudden we got in a conversation. Next thing I know, I'm going to Jimmy Kelly's and I'm meeting all your guys. And we started a relationship, and it's a kinship now. I mean, you're one of my friends, and anytime you call, I'm always available. And we'll continue to talk down the road for sure.
You know what I remember? I know I'm supposed to end this, but you know what I remember was one day on the air, you came on, I don't know what day it was you were on, and you just threw this at me. You said, I will be in town tomorrow night and you're taking me to dinner. And everybody watching this is thinking, he's going to take him to McDonald's.
No, a real dinner. Not McDonald's. Not nothing against McDonald's. I'm a McDonald's guy, but I'm talking about one of those where the fancy napkins and all that stuff. That's the real one.
You are the best. Thank you for doing this. Oh, he is so good, and there's so much info in that interview. First of all, I hope all of you liked it. Watson, we're going to spend the next segment breaking down a couple of things he brought up, but it's almost like talking to Mac. I mean, their careers, they've been at the worldwide leader. They've gotten back into coaching. There's a lot of similarities there.
Seem to be, yeah. And I've always said when I left being a head coach, I was an assistant for a while, went back to being a head coach. I was a much better head coach the next go around. I thought I was a much better head coach at UAB after my last stint at Vanderbilt. Much better. I'll bet you both of those guys would say the same thing.
Interesting. We'll go to the break, and then we'll talk more about our interview with Herm Edwards. Please stick around. This is Main Street Media Television.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Welcome to the Omni Nashville Hotel. Urban elegance with a vintage touch. Our 800-room hotel opened up in the fall of 2013 with 746 guest rooms and 54 suites.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
How good is Herm Edwards? Man, he is one terrific interview. It's easy just to wind him up and let him go. Watson, I took a few notes during this that I want to throw out at you and see where you take them. The first one was about my question about Herm as a pro coach was a 20-17 kind of guy. He was run the ball, play defense, field position, and all of a sudden he gets into college at Arizona State, and this stuff's gone completely out the window, and it's like you've got a disease if you dare punt after you get past midfield. How hard a transition do you think that's been for him?
Oh, I don't think hard, because I think he knows how to keep up with the Joneses, and he understands, to me, George, that if you're going to win, this is the way you do it, especially in college football right now. And you've also got to put eyeballs in the stands, fannies in the seats. That's a whole lot harder than it used to be. Whole lot harder. There's so much competition for that dollar now. And just look at Vanderbilt. And we were selling, 26,000 season tickets in my time there. Now it's the Preds. It's everything. It's the Titans. It's soccer. There's so much. And so it's so much harder. So I think all these guys understand we got to win games, but we also got to be exciting as we do it. And he's right. People right now want to see points, want to see the ball moved. And so he's had to change his ways and keep up. The other thing he hit on that I think is the biggest change, the two biggest changes in college football to me, and more recent times, is lineman downfield 3 yards. That's one, he didn't mention that. And that's legal. And running quarterbacks, athletic quarterbacks, that has totally changed the game. You get an extra blocker when that guy carries the ball. And that's been the number one issue with the pace of everything, George, I think that defenses have had to deal with.
Billy, you listened in on all this as well. If you've got a question or two for Watson, do it.
Watson, I mean, obviously you've known your brother Mac for forever, and you know, a guy like Herm as well, and been around coaches like that. Why is it that, you know, they are able to so clearly distinguish between, you know, the way they know football, you know, the way they think they know football, but at the same time, they also know it's evolving and they have to adjust. And because if they don't, then as Herm Edwards said, they're going to be left behind. So, I'm kind of surprised to see how well coaches like Mac and Herm are adjusting to these times. Are you surprised by that or not?
No, not at all, because I think the old guys, here's my little bit of issue with the younger coaches in the world for me. The old guys could learn football. You learn everything. Through my time, I didn't have – everybody thought, well, he's got a system. I had system, but that thing changed every year, Billy, because you got to do what your players can do. That's the way I came up. Nowadays, the problem I have with young coaches, and this is a general statement, I don't mean everybody by any means, they got a system and that's all they know. And if the system, if you're in the first quarter and the system don't work, you don't have anywhere to go. And they don't adjust year in and year out. They just try to run their system. These young guys come into a program and try to run their system. They don't even have close to the players to run that system right now. You got to do what your players can do. Herm and Mac came up in that time, and that's why I think they see that you have to adjust. Their whole careers have been adjusting, and so they do. And with the NIL, all of the things that they're dealing with now, both of these guys, I think, have done a good job of adjusting to what's going on in today's world, both on and off the field.
Meanwhile, what they have to adjust to, obviously it's not easy, but what are the obvious challenges from your perspective, Watson, for like say, for example, you're coaching right now. You're coaching at wherever, Vanderbilt, whatever school. What kind of makes you nervous right now? You know, obviously you just mentioned NIL, transfer portal, but what kind of specifically, what are some of the things that are challenges for these coaches right now?
The toughest thing for me right now would be you don't build a program. I've always felt that you build within your program around that fourth, fifth year, you're there. And that's your best teams. You don't do that anymore. And that's really, really hard to me. You lose 10 guys that go to some other school through the transfer portal. You bring in another 10 yourself. Well, that team, now your team is totally different. It's not anywhere close. So every year where you carry things over, Billy, you really can't do that anymore. So you just start from scratch with your next team because you've got a freshman coming in. We saw where Ole Miss and LSU brought in 14 and 15 transfers on top of their freshmen. Well, that's probably 25, 30 new faces in the program, maybe even more. Nearly half of your team is new. That was where it would be hard for me, and I would have to make strong adjustments. I got out before this transfer portal took place, and I just don't understand how you do that. I just feel like that culture, we talk culture all the time. How can you have a culture when you've got 40% of your team is new? There is no culture. You start another one. You try to build a culture. Whereas if you're keeping those kids 4 and 5 years in your program, there is a culture there that's passed on by your older ones back to the younger ones. So that would be my biggest issue right now on how I would handle it. And I really hadn't heard a great answer from any coach yet. I think they got the same issues I do. They just don't want to admit it.
Watson, here is to me one of the biggest issues going right now, and I really want to get you to talk about this. the baseball fan in me doesn't want to hear about OPS, doesn't want to hear about a bunch of the analytics that I think is a bunch of crap, but it's also maybe me being old. I'd like to know somebody's batting average. I don't give a damn about launch angle. I think that is the most overrated pile of crap. I don't know how a batter just decides, oh, I'm going to launch angle when you got 101 mile an hour fastball. I'm not buying it. And so there's a part of me that's an old fuddy-dud and very resistant to change. I think the baseball team that I root for has the perfect mix. I think Snitker is a feel guy. Anthopoulos is totally, analytics, and somewhere in the middle they meet. And I guess when you're winning, it's easier to meet halfway. But in football, how do you decide when to say, screw the data, this is what I think I'm seeing?
I think if I was doing it today, I would look at that data, but that's it. Because the data can't tell you who's across the line of scrimmage from you. You know, if you've got 4th and 5 and you've got a defensive line that is unbelievable you're going against, I'd punt the ball. Your chances of making it are different than if you're dominant over that bunch. There's so many pieces the data can't tell you in the human aspect and the competition of the guy you're going against your guy. And I've always said, the guy that's got the better player is going to win football 9 out of 10 times, more than any other sport. Basketball, sometimes that ball don't go through that hoop. Baseball, you hit a pitcher one day you don't. Football, if the team is better than you, they're going to beat you 9 out of 10 times and maybe 10 out of 10 times. So the data to me is just read it, study it. Okay, I see what you're saying, blah, blah. But it's got to be done. And for me, I would do this in the meeting rooms before the game that week. Okay, guys, 4th and 2, 4th and 3, with this defense right here. What can we run that we feel like we can make it? If we've got something we like and it's 4th and 3, we'll go for it on that Saturday. If we didn't come up with something we like, I'm not going to go for it against that bunch. So I just don't believe in it, George. I don't give a dang what you do with any of these sports. It all started way back with fundamentals. Fundamentals haven't changed a lick in any sport. And all this launch angle, it's still the fundamentals of how to hit the baseball, the fundamentals how to throw a pass, the fundamentals how to block and tackle, the fundamentals how to shoot a free throw, and they haven't changed a lick through the years as far as I'm concerned.
I will say this. I think Austin Riley's launch angle is just fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. It's his launch angle. It has nothing to do with all he's been taught through all his years in a fundamental way on how to hit a baseball.
Okay, I got 60 seconds on this one. Herm brought it up that college football has crept into the pro game. And for me, when I heard that, I was like, oh, it has crept way more than I ever dreamed it would. How about you?
Absolutely. And 100% reason, quarterbacks. The college quarterback now is an athletic guy. He's an athletic guy in high school. He's an athletic guy in college. And that's what the pros got to pick from when they come to the NFL. They're having to adjust to what these quarterbacks can do, which brings the college game into the NFL.
Guess what we're going to do after the break?
I think I know.
No.
No, I don't.
We do have Brian Stewart. You want to get to him now?
Well, you know what? I think Brian deserves to get in here.
All right, let's do it.
I think he does. He's probably celebrating a little bit. Big win last night, 13-1. Brian, life is good.
Yeah, this just in, George. Atlanta just hit another home run, scored another run. I mean, it's just
I love
what
it.
a fantastic game last night, right?
Yeah, it was awesome. So tell me, is your business as good as the Braves' business?
Ooh. Boy, that's a good question, George. Yes, I would happily say that One Stop is doing fantastic business-wise. there's a reason and there's a method to our madness of how we've stayed relevant in the real estate market since 1974. I think it has to do a lot with just how we treat our clients and our customers. And, it's always been family first here. It's something that we focused on. We don't do a lot of, advertising and things like that. As we said before, aside from just supporting the George Plaster show, that's always something fantastic to get behind. But a lot of our business comes from referrals. We've got agents that have been here since 85, 99. I mean, there's a reason that they last in the business is because they do good work. They say what they say, and they help take care of getting that client to the closing table and making it as easy as possible. That's just something that, a lot of brokerages just can't teach. It's something that we focused on from the beginning. It's something that I teach my new agents every month at the new agent meetings. Just something we live by here, George.
Brian, give me a phone number, how they can reach you and all that kind of stuff.
So our office number is 615-822-0750. My cell phone number is 615-440-7011. You can find us on the internet at onestoprealtytn.com, on Facebook and Instagram. I always like whenever I see the people get on there and like and follow our page. You're always going to find some interesting facts about real estate from us. You can keep up with our open houses, our new listings, etc. Just a great way to stay in touch with us here, George.
Have a good one. We'll talk again tomorrow.
George, Watson, Billy, thank you guys. Great show as always.
See you, Brian.
Brian Stewart, good man and a Braves fan to go with it. After the break, award-winning NFL notes, a couple of really interesting things to fire at Watson. This is Main Street Media Television.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com.
I've done sports, I've been a photographer, I've been an editor, I've been a producer, I've been a reporter, I've been an anchor. I mean, I've done every job you could possibly imagine this. And so sports was a way to have fun and be different. But then I realized community is where it's at, and community and local and doing places and going, seeing people. And, sports, you go to a stadium, everybody celebrates and they go their different ways. But community-wise, there's so much going on.
We are back. It is time, not necessarily by public demand, but it's time. NFL notes.
George, are we ready for today's NFL notes? We did it yesterday. This might start being an everyday occurrence, but we start the first topic. According to SI, the last-ditch negotiation between Deshaun Watson and the NFL has failed.
So, Watson, here's the deal. Apparently, they got together after Deshaun Watson met with the investigators in hopes of being able to come to an agreement on a level of punishment, and they weren't able to do that. This is the first I had heard of this earlier today, that they ever had this kind of a meeting. I don't know about you, but I would love to have been a fly on the wall to hear that.
Yeah, and of course, here we go again. That's lawyers on both sides. That's not Deshaun and the commissioner sitting there talking to each other. That's just lawyers doing that. But you're right. I'd love to see it. So does that mean that then we are going to hear something from the commissioner and add games to this? Makes me wonder after they had that meeting.
Well, it's possible that this explains why Watson's group has put it out there that, the NFL's got until I think 8:00 Thursday morning to inform the world of this ultimate decision. And Watson's group put it out there that, if they go with this, if Goodell says I'm taking over, then they've already put it out there. They're going to sue. And I think you're right. That tells me that in the negotiations, they knew what the NFL was thinking.
Yeah, that's why I think that we will see tomorrow at some point the NFL will add to the penalty. How many? I don't know. I don't think it'll be a year, but I think they'll add games to it. May take it up to 8 games or something like that. I think they will extend the penalty, but not be a full year.
What's number 2?
Item number 2. Oh, those are old notes, George. My bad on that.
Want to talk about old notes?
No. Number 2, Gillette Stadium will be undergoing a $225 million renovation. And my understanding, George, is that open part of that end zone, they're closing it up. And somebody's not happy about that.
Yeah, and that somebody is big man number 2. Kraft apparently is for this. But Watson, Mr. Belichick, who felt like he had an advantage in the kicking game and being able to play the wind at Gillette, apparently wasn't as happy.
Well, I think that we do know who the real boss is when it comes to something like that, don't we?
Just ask Bill Parcells.
Yeah. Well, ask anybody that goes in there. And I think this stadium's going to be long past Bill Belichick's time there. So I'd say the boss is going to win out on this one.
Yeah. What's number 3?
Number 3, Jerry Jones. Let's go to Jerry's world. Dallas is attempting to go young at wide receiver after we saw the James Washington injury yesterday.
You want a one-word answer?
What?
Whatever. Watson, please. Have you looked at the list that they've got behind CD Lamb?
Yeah. Isn't it funny? I'll take it a little different way. Isn't it funny if it was somebody like one of the small market teams in the NFL that's got a little bit of a receiver issue and what are they going to do? We don't even hear about it. But
no.
with it being the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, if somebody's little toe is hurting them, we're going to hear about it. So who cares? Put somebody out there and let's see what they do.
If it happens in the Metroplex, you will know about it.
You'll know about it.
What's the last one?
Last one, George. Deebo Samuel reportedly says on his new deal, communication is what got the deal done.
Okay, and Watson, I had Billy put that in there.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, after Deebo got it out there through his agent that he wanted, out of San Francisco, didn't he go underground?
Well, evidently the organization did a good job of talking with him through this whole thing. That's the one thing I don't understand in all these organizations is the GM, whoever. I don't know if the coach ever goes that far because that's dangerous to grab the coach, but the GM just sitting down with the player, and they don't do that much anymore. And I really don't understand that. Because if let's take our guy, if Brown would have just needed $2 more million and that was all it was, then that's got to be a communication issue if that's true. And I'm not talking about the Titans. I'm talking about all of them. Why do they not sit down more? Maybe it isn't face-to-face. Maybe it's over the phone. Maybe it's Zoom. I don't know. But just instead of just agent, look at what happened with Freddie Freeman, George. That don't happen if they sit down face to face with Freddie and work through that couple of million they're dealing with. I don't understand why you can't do that. I don't.
It's probably the agent saying, I'm the one doing this. We're not getting the player in the middle of it.
I agree with you. And if I'm a player, there's a point where I say, whoa, now, I love you. You're my agent, but I want to get a little involved in this thing.
Yeah.
I would as a player.
I want a seat at the table. Okay,
Yeah,
after the break, we'll go Plaster bet of the day. I'm hacked off. The Astros didn't get it done last night. I'm giving too much away. But suffice it to say, we need a W tonight. And this is Main Street Media Television.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
For Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly, they welcome every opportunity to serve and satisfy their clients. Whether you are looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and remodel is unique, luxurious, completed on time, and within budget. Contact them today to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects by logging on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
It's your last chance to get a spring tune-up for summer. Complete Service Heat and Air can clean your coils, check out your motor, and make sure you have cold air on that first hot day of summer. Complete Service Heat and Air is located in White Bluff, Tennessee. We do service and repair on heating and air the right way. 24/7 service. Call us at 615-797-3997. That's 615-797-3997. Serving Cheatham, Davidson, Dixon, Hickman, Humphreys, Montgomery, and Williamson counties.
I'm Bart Durham.
I was sworn in as a lawyer in 1963, and I've been working as a lawyer since then.
We're a firm that does exclusively personal injury, a lot of tractor-trailer crashes. Insurance companies will open up their checkbooks when you force them to.
We have systems that work.
We get the most money for our clients in the shortest amount of time.
I'm Blair Durham. My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
Yes, it is time to avenge last night's bitter defeat. It is time for Plaster Bet of the Day. Billy, what do you got?
George, Plaster's Bet of the Day. Last night, obviously, not the best for you, but you know how to bounce back well. But George, as I pull this up, you got to me really quick there. Results: you are 6-9 after that loss last night. Of course, Houston Astros let you down. But are we ready to reveal tonight?
No, I want to vent about the Astros. Score some runs. What the heck? One run at home? Watson, even you agreed with me about this.
Got to get the trash can back, George. That's all there is to it, man.
Hold on. How was that?
That wasn't bad. That's close.
Okay. So let's reveal where it is we're going. Limited menu tonight. A lot of day games. So let's see where we did go. Yes.
Los Angeles.
Yes. Kind of a staple right now. I am desperately trying to get to 500. And even though this is a team I don't particularly like, they're really good. They've gone into San Fran. San Fran wanted this to be a series where they made a statement. Well, the Dodgers have crammed it down their throat. Urias is a really good pitcher. And Alex Cobb's not bad. But you know what? I've got a winner. Dodgers are going to get it done tonight.
Watch out. Look out.
Hey,
we're
Watson,
just confident.
You want to close the show with a heartwarming story?
Yeah.
Nick Saban told WJOX Radio in Birmingham today that last season was a rebuilding year.
That's got to be a joke.
Oh, me.
That's the most
How about that?
That's the most Nick Saban
me.
Got to the title game in a
lose the national championship in the title in the national championship game. You lose it, and it's rebuilding. And you got the Heisman Trophy winner last year, so I don't know.
It's a tough gig.
It's a tough gig. Somebody got to take it, though, right?
Watson, here's the good news.
What you got?
We're out of time.
We're out?
We can do no more damage.
Well,
so
sounds good. See if
for
you can.
Derek, for Watson Brown, who's probably got one last cheap shot he wants to throw in.
No, none today. Pretty green shirt. I told you that earlier. You got a pretty green shirt on today. You look nice.
This is George Plaster. Thanks for being with us. Tell a friend if you like the product we're putting out there. let a friend know about it and tell them this is Main Street Media Television. We'll see you tomorrow.